Hello. Welcome to Ruminations with Daniel. So today was day 24. It means very few days left. Click the link if you want to join in and see the Wisdom Challenge in all its glory. It is really good and I appreciate it. But then I have my little rabbit trails. So the number one that I was talking about the other day, I didn't get a chance to go to the store, which is too bad because like liver stew. No, not liver stew, kidney stew. What the heck was liver stew? Liver and onions, yeah, but kidney stew. Actually, Chinese people like to cook with kidneys and liver and other sorts of things, heart and all sorts of insides. So, yeah. Man, do you know what really bothers me is when I start talking about a rabbit trail that leads me to another rabbit trail, which leads me to another rabbit trail. And it's like, oh, golly. Go back. Here's where I was starting. Okay. Wisdom Challenge 24. It's the day to read Proverbs 24. And I am choosing to read from the New King James Version. Verse 33 says, a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. 34 says, so shall the poverty come like a prowler, and your need like an armed man. But I wanted to concentrate on that. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. Doesn't that sound pleasant? It sounds like, oh, golly, I could do that. But Proverbs says it's bad because it's an indication of the sluggard. Is to talk to the guy who does excuse me, who's unmotivated. But I got off onto the folding of the hands, right? And it's like, is that like origami? I don't think so. I think what they mean is like putting them together like this, which can be also known as clasping of the hands. And there's different studies done on it because you see, for the most part, there's two choices. Either you're doing this one, where the right is dominant over the left, or you've got this one where the left is dominant over the right. And supposedly there's about 50, I don't know, it depends on how much study you're doing, but there's slightly more people prefer the right versus the left. And there's some theories as to why this is. And some people say that it's based on your dominant hand. And some other people say that it's based on genetics. Actually, it's part of the genetic makeup of a person, which way they prefer it. But there's only 1% of the population who don't give a rip which way it goes. And in fact, I'm almost, in terms of my abilities with my hands, there are certain skills that I do with my left hand and certain skills that I do with my right hand. And so as such, I can almost write the same left and right handed. I'm almost totally ambidextrous, but I've had more practice on this because in school, if you weren't writing with your right hand, you would get, when I was a kid, you would get smacked with a ruler. So I was taught to write more with my right. And with the way that the English language is, with cursive writing particularly, it's way easier to write with your right hand than the left because you can't see what you're doing with the left hand. And it's so, wow, what a rabbit trail that was. But it wasn't the full rabbit trail because I was looking at this. There was, in terms of a definition of folding the hands and stuff like that, there were lots of types, lots of talk about it. And there's this one thing that I liked in this one, I found it under hand clasping, is in support of the hypothesis about the significant influence of genetic factors on the phenotypic expression of the extreme dimorphism clearly demarcated by the data on a very wide range of variation in the frequency of phenotypes tested parts of the world's population. Like, what a mouthful. What indeed. So dimorphism. In biology, polymorphism is the occurrence of two or more clearly different morphs or forms, also referred to as an alternative phenotypes. Okay, so dimorphism means there's clearly only two types. It's either this one or this one. I think there's actually a third one where you can put where the thumbs, if you put them parallel to each other, like if you just sit them beside each other. I don't know. See, there's that one with it and that one with it. Anyways, let's get back to those words. Phenotypic expression. What a great phrase that one is too. And when you look into that, it's talking about genetics. The phenotype is from the Greek pheno, showing, and tupos, or type, is the set of observable characteristics or traits of an organism. The term covers the organism's morphology or physical form and structure, its developmental processes, its biochemical and physiological properties, its behavior, and the products of behavior. So, in other words, how you hold your hands may be a product of not only your heredity, but also training or some sort of an impact of people, of how you've been, how you've learned, how you've grown. So maybe getting taught to write right-handed, being forced to learn how to write with your right hand and to do things with your right hand, which is, of course, when you go down those rabbit trails, the right hand has to do with righteousness, and the left hand had to do with evil. Anyways, I think I should end this about now. I've been on here forever, it seems, and I don't want to go farther down that trail right at the moment, because I would go on and on and on. I could probably do an hour on this topic alone. So I'm going to call it quits right now. You see, I'm not sure whether or not I prefer to hold my hands one way or the other. And I don't know whether or not that's because of my heredity or because of my training. It's probably a bit of both. But for the most part, the reason why I am an introvert versus an extrovert are those, is this, what's the word? Dimorphic, is it? Let me go back to here for a second. Extrovert versus introvert, is it a dimorphism? Are there only two choices? See, there were people that hypothesized, I think so. Anyways, that's the thought that introversion was just not extroverted. Introversion is just not extroversion. And so from that perspective, I guess if that's what you believe, then your personal, the preference of people, the things, the way that people act in terms of that expression would be a dimorphism. There's only two forms of behavior in that you're either one or the other. There's nothing, one or the other. Choose today. Anyway, I said I was leaving. Okay, so I am leaving. So We will talk more tomorrow. You can still join the Wisdom Challenge. There's a few days left. Come on. See ya.